Ready Check Radio. What's up, Internet? Welcome to the Relic Grind. It's Thursday. It is 7 p.m. That means Ready Check Radio is bringing to you the Relic Grind, the Final Fantasy XIV / Square Enix podcast, where myself, Mike Byrne, and my co-hosts bring to you our opinions on some of the goings-ons of the week in Final Fantasy XIV and all things Square Enix related. And we do have 14 news. It is a little bit of a dead period here, but we still have Final Fantasy XIV news. We got about, an estimated 2-ish weeks to patch 5.4, but we've got some stuff on that front. I've got a little surprise topic, kind of a tradition, if you will, anytime a group of people get together and talk about anything Final Fantasy related. And, of course, the topic that won't die, Marvel's Avengers. So we've got a lot of stuff there to talk about. If you're listening to...
Won't die until it dies.
Right. If you're listening to us on Spotify, make sure you're following Ready Check Radio, RAIDEO, so that you can get all the notifications for not only this show, but also Snowbound, our Blizzard podcast, and Gaming Gumbo, our gaming general weekly wrap-up show that premiered last Saturday. That will air this Saturday as well. And as well as a team of volunteer streamers behind the scenes. Thank you to all of them, of course, that just stream to have some fun and hope you'll come along. So we hope you'll follow us. Join the website there, readycheckradio.com, and you can find all the socials to follow. On a programming note, since we're speaking of that, next week there are no shows. We do Snowbound Tuesday, Relic Grind Thursday, Gaming Gumbo Saturday, all at 7 p.m. Eastern. There will be none of those shows. I didn't think it was fair to give the Relic Grind folks off because it happened to fall on Thanksgiving.
I'll still be here.
And then not give the other two shows off. However, follow the Twitch page so you get notifications, because a lot of our streamers, including myself, will be going live at their normal time. Some have opted to take a day off, but most will be going live. And Tuesday, instead of Snowbound, Dom, Zista, and I will be doing some World of Warcraft streaming of Shadowlands. So there'll be odds and ends. Make sure you're following. But to talk about all the things Final Fantasy related, helping me today, first up, Mr. Chris Montoya, a.k.a. Tarkoth. What's up?
Greetings, programs. So happy to be back. I missed you guys last week.
Yeah, you were off.
It was good stuff. I want to play the card game, man.
You want to play FFTCG? We had a special guest, Chris Adams of the RVA Returners, a friend of mine, and an even more so friend of our third co-host, Mr. Adam Lane, a.k.a. Kronos. What's up, sir?
What's going on? Yeah, I'm ready to talk some 14 now.
Yeah.
Some more Phantasmagoria news, right?
Yes. I'm a Phantasmagoria billionaire, or however that was put.
I'll never forget that.
Chris is too much. Anytime you get him somewhere, it's just a blast. It's just a blast. And if there's beer involved, all the better. All the better.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do have some 14 news, so let's start with that, gentlemen. We do have just a little reminder for you. The live letter will be on November 27th. It's at 6 a.m. Eastern United States time. Obviously, for those of you that know, they're broadcast out of Japan during Japan's primetime hours. So, yeah. If you're on the West Coast, that's 3 in the morning on November 27th. Now, that wouldn't have made next week's show anyway, right? Because it's Friday and Thursday. So plan on the following show. Obviously, we'll be going through the live letter because I'm sure, gentlemen, there will be a lot in there to discuss. Do you anticipate, Kronos, any surprises out of the live letter? Typically, Yoshi P teases a little something, or the team holds a little something back from what's upcoming in the newest patch as far as public release until right on the cusp. Do you anticipate anything like that in 5.4, or are we kind of, let's wind this down because we're going to be looking at 6.0, probably an announcement come February?
I think there's going to be something they're holding close to the chest that they'll show that we don't know yet. Maybe something kind of small. Maybe, even if it's just like a sneak peek at like a raid boss or something. I think we're going to see that at least.
Tarkoth, you agree?
Maybe not.
We'll get little sneak peeks of raid bosses because it's got a new raid tier. we'll hear about the monk changes, so that'll have some interest. I don't think anything like earth shattering is going to happen with this, because I think they're really trying to get back in the swing of things because of COVID, and we're trying to gear up for a new expansion. So I think most of our surprises are going to be with the story and how it's moving forward, and not necessarily this live letter.
I think there's a small chance that they could like drop the big bomb of like at least teasing what the ultimate is, even though we're not like pretty far away from that.
Yeah.
That's like next
Maybe.
patch. I think that's possible, but I wouldn't bet on it.
I wouldn't bet on it
Now,
either.
the live letter typically falls about 2 weeks before big patches. So, again, all things pointing towards December 8th. I haven't seen anything
Yep.
that throws me off of December 8th as being my guest date for patch 5.4. You know, we have the tombstone changes. Those typically happen about a month ahead. We had those. We've got the live letter. That's typically about 2 weeks ahead. So still looking at the 8th on my calendar. I still have it penciled in. What about you guys?
Well, they're really predictable with their releases on information. So the last live letter, then a week later you got the prelim patch notes, and then following Tuesday is the patch. So December 8th is I gotta say it's the date.
Yeah, I'd be surprised at this point if it's not. I think Tarkov hit it right on the head. I think we're gonna get the patch notes probably shortly after, maybe like the following Tuesday of the live letter, and then the patch the Tuesday after that.
Yeah,
Which will be the
I
8th.
initially, like a few weeks ago, thought 8th or 15th. Although the 15th isn't technically like early December, and that's kind of the term they threw around. As soon as we saw the tombstone changes, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be the 8th now, because that's usually about 4 weeks ahead of the patch. And then this, when they announced the live letter date, it was like, it's go time on the 8th. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Make sure you're watching it. Make sure you tune in the following Thursday for our thoughts on everything. And if there's anything spicy and new in there, that'll be cool. And if not, we'll give you our opinions on everything we see. We should at least like get things like a little, Matoya's Relic preview-ish. So there should be some more around things we already know. So I'm looking forward to quite a bit to talk about. There's always something to talk about from the live letters. And that's one thing that I can appreciate as like a content producer. Like there's always something in there, even if you have the full list of features that are going to be in a patch or an expansion. So I got to compliment Square Enix where due, at least on Final Fantasy XIV and how they drop the information. Not all their games, but this one, pretty good. Let's go on. We've got some, this is weird. So being on Twitch, all of you watching and any of you that produce content, you've probably been seeing the news, if not sucked up into the news lately, about the whole DMCA fiasco that just keeps dragging on with Twitch and punishing people for not only music, copyrighted music use, but now like different sound effects keep flagging things. And, Twitch is in a really bad spot right now because they drag their feet on this shit for so long that...
Oh, they're bad. They're horrible.
Yeah, now that more companies and big labels and producers are like, okay, no, wait, you have to do something about this. All of a sudden it's, everything's burning down, Kronos. We got to go fix it now at the expense of us, the content producers, with no notice and things like that. Luckily, hasn't been an issue here yet, knock on wood, but we also pay for all of our assets. So we're licensed out the ass for our music and our art and everything. But
I know a lot of people were jumping to just delete their VODs and all sorts of preemptive stuff, but then apparently they're still getting slapped down.
Yeah,
so it's
Jace says it best. It's like a hurricane. It was like a hurricane for content creators.
I think the issue is no one really knows what they're doing wrong. A lot of people don't know what they're doing wrong. Some people obviously do. Some people are using something and it's obvious why they're getting slapped down. But some people are just playing a game with the music in the game, and then they're still getting hit with the DMCA stuff. And so there's no real guidelines, and I think that's the real frustration. Is no one really knows what the right thing is to do, other than to just delete your VODs and not play music at all. It's some people are just muting their games.
Yeah, and Twitch actually said that in a tweet. How dumb was somebody actually tweeted them and asked a question about, how can I, there was, we always have the option to mute all the game sounds. Oh yeah, thanks. I didn't realize that I could do that and just totally mute everything and really
Makes
make
for a great experience,
it just
right?
makes a stream super uncomfortable to watch. So I bring this up for an FF14 reason, right? Not just so that we could vent about Twitch, but for a 14 reason. But first, since we're talking about like sound effects actually triggering this, like there's people in other games. The one we're going to talk about in Final Fantasy, I think, is really bizarre. So give us a second on that one. But in other games like World of Warcraft, like Wind flagged somebody as a sound effect that somebody out there owned and popped as a strike. I will tell you, go and check out. I'm sorry. Go and check out on Twitter at Play with Jambo. Play with Jambo.
Okay.
Jambo. She posted a video of a clip of her playing Skyrim. That to avoid the DMCA takedowns, muted the game and just decided to do the entire playthrough with her own sound effects.
Oh, God.
Some of them you're like, okay, that's silly. But like she's running along and she starts humming the Skyrim theme at certain points. And when she swims underwater as she's humming it, she goes, and then comes back. It is brilliant. Like, I don't know if you could watch a 5-hour stream of it. You'd have to be really entertaining to pull this off.
Or drunk.
Yeah, but it is incredibly funny. Go and check that out. Anyway, total sidebar, has nothing to do with Final Fantasy XIV. On the Final Fantasy XIV side of things, we did have at least one of our own fun sound effect screw-ups. When it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, but it wasn't sound effects. So if I had if I told you this, Kronos, and I said somebody was streaming Final Fantasy XIV and got a DMCA takedown notice, what is the first gut reaction that you say probably triggered it? Knowing Final Fantasy XIV.
Some song in the game.
Some song in the game. Yeah, I mean, it's gotta be the music, right? There has to be and it was. To be fair, it was. But not Square's music.
This whole world's gone backwards.
Queen E, Emily Krumlinde, I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, posted the following about a DMCA takedown that she had received for streaming Final Fantasy XIV. And this is a quote. The messed up thing about the Final Fantasy XIV mute that they received is that it's not even muted based on the original in-game music. It's muted because of a YouTube cover artist making a cover of the original song. The Content ID system can't notice the difference between the original that was playing on the stream, right, in the background of the stream, and the cover. So it's flagging the original version of the song as the cover artist's song. So here's me, Emily, and every other streamer playing Final Fantasy XIV are getting muted and risking potential DMCA strikes, not because of the actual music in game, but because of a YouTube cover artist. The system can't even recognize the difference between these two, Kronos. This is nuts.
Yeah, like, could you imagine if I covered, I don't know, let's say a popular song, like a Weekend song, and then I posted it on YouTube, and then I got his video flagged for my music.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, like, that's really bad. It's really bad.
Talk about
they need to fix their algorithm before they start slapping with some people.
So nuts. That's nuts. Reporting on that, credit, by the way, to Kotaku and writer Nathan Grayson for the story on that one that included Emily's reply that I read to you. I mean, that is just nuts. I would not have been surprised. Like, remember, before, when the game was just getting ready to launch, a Realm Reborn version of it, there were huge concerns about YouTube content creation and Final Fantasy XIV streaming. I don't know if either of you remember this, if you were in like content creation at that time, but it was
not quite yet.
Yeah, there was a big concern because Square had like released this whole long statement about limitations on what you could use and everything. And I think Yoshi P had a lot to do with this. Eventually, before the game launched, those were eased and clarified into the usual what we see. Like, you can't use our stuff to make money, but streaming and having subscribers or making a guide and putting it on YouTube and having that monetized, we are not going to claim those. But initially, the initial rules were like, they were pretty messed up. So I think Yoshi P has a lot to do with helping some aspects of Square Enix like catch up to the times a little bit. He does.
All praise Yoshi P.
Yeah, he does a lot on that front. But just such a community-oriented person. So yeah, that's a fun story. What else we got? 14 was Bosja coins. We called this, gents. We called this.
Yeah, we did.
I don't think we were the only ones by any stretch of the imagination, but we called this.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Tark. You had something to say. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying they had to do something because it was just too much to grind a bazillion different castrum runs. They had to do something to ease that.
Yeah, when you're needing Kronos between like 800 and 900 coins to purchase particular items, to either use there or gear items or whatever the case may be, and the castrum was the only place to get them. We had talked to you way back when you, like the first week, you had cleared it and you got like 20 some coins, and you estimated there was probably about like 40 on the line that you could have gotten ish, somewhere around there, when we did have the exact numbers. Now you can actually pick up some extra coins just by completing the skirmishes with a gold or silver rating. You can get 1 extra coin, or if you complete any critical engagements, you can get 3. But, and I think this qualifier makes sense, Kronos, you have to have cleared the Lady of Blades quest, which is basically having beat Castrum.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think all those changes like probably should have been in there from the start. I mean,
concur.
Like to have ways other than Castrum after you cleared Castrum to continue to get coins. The price of the items are still extremely high.
I think so too.
And you're still going to be doing a lot of stuff if you really want those haste pieces for some reason. Like if you're really trying to gear up for the next like the Bajra 24-man thing. Yeah, I mean you're still going to be spending a lot of time, but I think this is a needed change, and it's a good change.
Yeah, I think running around picking up 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3. I think that definitely does help speed up things. I agree with you. I still think the items, even at that change, are overpriced. Now, I can understand Tarkoth maybe not wanting to be like, well, let's give 10 and 5, because then things become, your problem is there's too much currency in the market, where it would be much easier in any economy to adjust the prices of items than to extract currency from the market, right? That's always easier. So I can see why 3 and 1 here, but I would still, if I had to guess, I still would think there's going to be a price change in these items relatively soon. I don't think we're going to be waiting too long for that.
I think it might be maybe closer to when they drop the 24-man, the normal and the savage.
That's fair.
So that you're not nerfing the content, and they can't put the bonuses too high, because then you negate the need to go to Castrum, where you can get a good chunk. Because then it's more worth your time to just grind it out, critical engagements and skirmishes instead of going to.
I mean, I exactly agree. It's much easier to price change than to try and extract currency you've flooded onto the market. And that's the same with Gil. That's why we talked in the interview on last show about, economies and things like that. And they don't really do, Yoshi P had said, they don't really do price changes on all that much, all that often, Kronos, but they did implement their first big price change a little while ago for the specific reason we're talking about here. There's just not enough of certain currencies in certain areas to be able to afford these items. Do you think it's after the 24 though? I think it would be before Kronos, but not far before.
I don't think they're going to change the price at all.
You really don't?
I think they're going to stick with it.
Why?
I mean, well, I guess we don't really know what the 24-man's going to give. But if this gear is like what you're supposed to take into the 24-man, this haste gear, and they don't, and the 24-man itself doesn't give you any better armor, or I don't know. I don't. I just my gut tells me they're not going to reduce the price on these because like the non-haste version isn't terrible. Like I mean, you can get a full set. It's still a pretty good chunk of coins.
The haste version
it's
is
really the
actually
haste.
causing some problems of its own, by the way, for
Yeah.
people's rotations.
Right, because
Yeah.
your GCD is going to be a lot faster than you're used to. So, I mean, I just my gut tells me they're not. If they do, I think that's cool because I do really think it's overpriced. I really do. But I feel like we would have already seen a change if they were going to reduce. That's just where my
Interesting.
My gut says.
So the panel, we're kind of split on this one. Tark and I think there's going to be a change. You say not at all. Not at all. And Tark, I think you and I are right around the same time period, like right before the 24 manish.
Yeah, just maybe 2 weeks before, they adjust it because I feel that they're going to want, not necessarily for the Savage mode or the normal mode, but for the Savage mode, I think they're going to want you to have the best gear that you can get. So that's the haste gear. But yeah, it's just too much as it is right now.
I guess the
you'd have
other
to
thing
spend
is sorry,
so much time in it. You just have to spend so much time in there, and it gets real boring after a while. Like I can
For
only
sure.
do one time lock before I'm like, okay, I'm done with Bozo for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my other thing is, do you really think the haste gear is going to be required to kill the Savage? Because
I don't think so.
Which is why I don't think they're going to reduce the price. If it's required, like if their intention is to balance the 24-man Savage around the haste gear, then I think they might reduce it. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't think so either.
Which is why I don't think they're going to. That's kind of. I mean, I hope they do because I do think it's overpriced. Like don't take me the wrong way. I think that it is. I think they should. I just don't think they will.
He's playing the. I'd like it to be cheaper too, but it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen.
So I guess a good question then is like, where do you think the difficulty is going to be with the normal and the Savage? Is normal going to be like normal rating where you can just kind of go in there and do whatever,
and punk it,
and then Savage, and punk it, and the Savage is whatever little pieces you can get, or do we think it's going to be closer to ultimate?
Yeah, I would probably assume that the regular one's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood, difficulty-wise, of like a regular 24-man, like a Nigger raid or something.
Okay.
And my guess is like the Savage is probably going to be a little bit harder than what we got in Castrum. Probably be my guess. I don't think they're even going to make it as hard as like a true 8-man Savage fight.
Ultimate
But they might.
Red Chocobo. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, buddy.
That would be hilarious.
Ultimate Red Chocobo.
Hey, I clearly need to get my big D DPS up there for that. So I'll work on that. I'll work on that for you guys.
Stop bringing that baby DPS, dude.
Yeah,
Don't got time for that. We need the big dick deeps.
Yeah, the Chocobo will not suffer your little D.
Fantastic. All right. Speaking of updates and 5.4, today we got the new website, gentlemen. This is always a good day.
Yeah, buddy.
This is always a good day. Let's take a peek at it here while we're talking about it. We'll kind of just go from top to bottom. There's not a lot as far as like, spoilers or information on it yet, but we still get the early December 2020 flag. Futures rewritten, futures unknown, and we got Alice is having a bad day there. Alphano being all supportive, and it looks like they're in Limsa. I mean, those look like the Limsa walls and towers there in the back there. With Elidibus defeated and the fate of the first secured, the Scions make their long-awaited return to the source. But in the new future, they now look towards what will that which is written upon the pages of history be an anthem of hope or a dirge of despair. So this kind of queuing into the main scenario. We also get a lovely picture here. I'll open this one up too. Purdy. I don't think it really reveals anything, Kronos, but besides where we knew stuff was headed in this direction now. Let's focus on Eorzea now that we're done in the source for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see Americ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
been
totally
absent from the story for a so bit.
Yeah, so it's kind of I mean, I guess they're I mean, this is obviously going to start pushing us toward the X-Pac, right? So something's going to be there. I'm sure Xeno's going to make an appearance at some point.
Pretty sure Alice is crying because Alphano is her brother. And he's
I think she's probably crying because she has to change jobs again.
Well, she
That's
said she
right.
wanted a
it's
job
getting
change.
It's getting to be about that time. And actually, I didn't mean to gloss over this, but like the key art here at the top, we've got Lise and Gaia. Reen, Lise, god damn it. Reen and Gaia, and they're holding hands. So we've already seen a ton of internet shipping going on between these two. Beautiful art. Like, I love the art books. I've got a bunch of them over here, but like I would love to buy these like canvassed and things like that and actually hang these. I love this artwork. Love this artwork.
I would too, but I wouldn't want to play that Square price that they're going to charge you for it.
Right.
But it'll have a minion, so Mike has to get it. So
Oh god.
If god damn it, I have every single one of those $50 Blu-ray music discs because they come with those stupid things.
and you
It's
know
not
what?
that I don't
And
mind
I'm
having
jealous
all that
'cause
music. I think you could see them actually. Yeah, they're right there.
I wish I could get the minions without it. That's my problem.
Right. Most expensive. Like I got $700 worth of minions. Oh, and some Blu-ray, but they're beautiful Blu-rays anyway. Sidebar. Very beautiful art. I want to show you gentlemen something though. And get your take on this. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
So here, let me show you a close-up of this key art. Boop. Boop. All right. Beautiful, right? Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I love Rin and Jessica Jones. I mean,
But look at this. Boop. Who's hiding there? You can't see this at the top of the website. You have to go down into the key art and pull this image
really
up in
zoom
full. And if you zoom in just to the right of Gaia, behind her shoulder arm area, we got La Habrea peeking there. That's La Habrea.
Did not notice that.
What do you guys think? All right, if you didn't notice it and you're just seeing this for the first time, Kronos, what's your gut reaction?
My gut reaction tells me that like we're gonna be looking at like past events. I don't think he's gonna come back, but maybe. I mean, it's possible. Who knows? But my gut tells me it's just gonna be like we're gonna be going through past events, and I mean he's in a lot of past events. So
Like, could it? I mean, it certainly could mean absolutely nothing, right? There's just futures. There's past images behind them, and this is part of the past. Okay, but to be honest, La Brea not really part of the story, past or at least as far as we know, future when it comes to these two particular characters.
right, that's true.
Yeah, he's been gone since Heaven's Ward. Since
he wouldn't really be in the past if the things in the background of this image are just meant to represent things of the past. He, as far as we know, he wasn't part of the past for either of these two. Now, Gaia, there's still a lot unknown there, right? An awful lot unknown there. So maybe it's just something that hasn't been revealed yet. But yeah, very surprised to see our masked friend there, Tarkov.
And considering he's one of the unsundered, so you can't even make the argument that this is one of his shards. So I'm very curious. Now, we also know that the Ascian names are just titles. So maybe this is the new La Habrea. I don't know.
Very
curious.
I got you both.
That was good.
Gotcha.
Point out.
It came out of nowhere. It really did.
Got you with a little grab on that one. Look at me. All right. Anyway. Yeah,
what do you think?
You know what? I don't know. I think when I first saw it, I was like, does this play into things, or is this just, Yoshi P and team doing their being Yoshi P and team thing? And the more I thought about it, I was just like, there's so much unknown. And in fact, I'm showing on the screen right now the raid dungeon Eden's Promise, because that's the Gaia focused portion. It's just, I feel like there's so much unknown about Gaia and her backstory and everything that I wouldn't be surprised if there was Ascian influence to get her to where things are right now.
Well, if we're feeding into the fact that this is going to be a lot more Final Fantasy VIII focused, and Ultimecia is potentially probably a boss, that brings time travel in, right? So
It does.
True.
It does.
So there's that.
It does. Gaia was stayed at an orphanage. Grew up with Squall, and Renoa and Cypher
and then lost her
and
memory.
then lost her memory. Yeah. Here we go.
Cool story.
We are getting the
story,
raid
bro.
dungeon, though. Eden's Promise. Reen and her mysterious counterpart Gaia have succeeded in restoring balance to the elements of the empty. Much of the credit goes to the Warrior of Light, whom they invite to observe whether life continues to flourish in the once barren desert. While the flame of hope burns brighter than ever, this tale is far from over. We get some character design art here hidden in a click. That is gorgeous. That is absolutely gorgeous.
Hammer job confirmed.
What are you expecting as far as bosses here, Kronos?
Ultimecia, I
You
think
think?
is probably my bet. Some version of like Griever, maybe like a combination of her and Griever as like the specific to Savage only thing. The other two, I'm not really sure.
Tark?
Like, could be a lot of things.
No idea. I'm totally blank on this. Ultimecia sounds good because it's Final Fantasy VIII. And they could go so many routes with this. I have no clue. Like I don't even know where the story's gonna go. I'm like,
I'll go with La Habrea. Sure, why the fuck not? Actually, I think it's going to be...
Yeah, do it!
I think it's going to be Ultimecia, too. But I'll go with La Habrea just to be different from you, Kronos. For no...
You think you'll be the end boss?
No particular... Sure, why not? Yeah. Last boss. Time travel story, La Habrea. Sure, why not? We haven't done...
You'll be the third boss.
We haven't done that
You'll be the third
before.
boss, and Ultimecia is like, no, I was behind it all.
We haven't done that before. Why not?
Nah.
All right. There was something. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted. It was something I was trying to remember to bring up, but it's further down. The dungeon, Matoya's Relic. We talked about this. Kind of speculated on it a little bit. Like, would it be Matoya referring to Matoya? Matoya referring to Y'shtola? Like, what is the Matoya here? The Maker's Quarter was once home to some of the finest crafters Eorzea has ever seen, but it's lain in forgotten ruins since the Charlayan Exodus. It is there, hidden amongst overgrown foliage, that the entrance to the former workshop of the Archon Matoya can be found. So we got our answer, gentlemen, on what Matoya we're talking about here. No longer in the picture. Her beautiful, soulless eyes, no longer in the picture here. We got. It looks like a cauldron or a forge, kind of like a forge thing going on. As far as the key art, I like the aesthetic here. I really do. Any initial thoughts, gents?
It looks amazing, and after 3 or 4 runs, we'll be completely bored of it.
Who is this? I have spent all day trying to figure out if this is a mob I should know or not, and I am generally like eidetic memory, Final Fantasy nut. Show me a picture. Usually don't have a problem at least gaining where the inspiration might be from. If it's not, I cannot place this.
Looks like a Pokemon. I don't know.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, that's a Pokemon. Where's this to tell us what generation this came from?
Oh yeah, because he just starts guessing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's obviously, looks like a boss fight. We got some cages around here. Maybe it's around the pillars here. But I don't know. It's ice cream Pokemon is what Jay says. Domina says it's cute.
It's cute.
That's all that matters, I guess.
I need a minion of it.
I bet it's a minion. It's definitely a minion.
Definitely got to be a minion. $40? Sweet. Send me the disc.
Sign me up.
Chronicles of a New Era. Gaius and the Warrior of Light are another step closer to thwarting the Empire's War Machina development project after vanquishing Sapphire Weapon. However, newly unearthed information alludes to another foe lurking in the shadows, and you must take decisive action before it's too late. Is this really even a mystery anymore, Kronos? Like, we know what... Here, this is an interesting thing, too, if you look at this image, talking about these weapons. In this picture, this is part of a cutscene that we've already seen, and the weapon is in the background. Mm-hmm. It's been taken out for this image, or maybe this is just a different image from maybe that cutscene in a initial form. But we already saw Emerald back there.
Yeah, we've already seen it. I think this might be a different one, just the same characters in it, but we've definitely seen in the cutscene. We know it's Emerald Weapon. I'm surprised they didn't just outright say it.
Yeah, it's like, what? Why the mystery? It also makes you go, well, wait a minute. Like, if Yoshi P and team we know it's Emerald, and they're still not saying it, is it actually going to be Emerald?
The old bait and switch.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we get we finish off the site with a nice list of things new to 5.4. We're not going to belabor this list because I anticipate we're going to talk about a great deal of many of these things on this list on our next show 2 weeks from today. No show next week due to Thanksgiving. But because we will have next Friday the live letter, I'm sure we'll have a bunch of stuff. There is one I want to point out here just to get your take on, and if there's anything on this list real quick the two of you want to bring up, by all means. If you look at the new trial, it's listed as being Castrum Marinum. That's not new. We've been there. Well, I mean, we haven't been in it, but we've been there. That is the background. It's in the background of the hardest, most mind-bogglingly difficult trial ever, Rataten. That's off in the distance over the cliff. By the way, that was sarcasm.
Western Thanalan.
That is, that's the castrum there. And, to my knowledge, we haven't had any recycled names of castrums anywhere yet, but this is already someplace we've seen. We've seen the outside of this. So maybe a little bit of a going back into original Eorzean zones for some things, maybe. I don't know.
They're trying to attack us from our flank to divert our forces from the front lines.
I guess.
And maybe I missed it, but have they said where the factory is, where they're working on the weapons? Maybe I've missed.
I went back and tried to think about it. I didn't have time to watch all the cutscenes this afternoon. I only got through I think 2 or 3 before I had to go do show notes. I spent all my life writing show notes for Saturday's gaming gumbo. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's not Castrum Meridium. Okay, that's Marinum. I think I've still heard that one before, so I had to spend 10 minutes looking that up. I've heard that one. But yeah, I didn't get a chance to go through all the cutscenes to see if we know where this is taking place. So I just thought it was interesting. Something we've never been in it, but we have seen the outside of it during a trial in the rush to level 50.
Yeah, nowadays you see that trial for about 5 seconds, so you don't even really get to get a good view.
You don't even have time to rotate your camera to view it. Anything else on here that you gentlemen wanted to point out real quick? On the entire site or on the new to patch 5.4 list?
No, I'm just excited.
You ready?
For the patch.
You ready?
Yeah.
Yep. New tier. Let's do it.
Yeah, I got Shadow Lands to keep me busy for a week while waiting.
December 8th.
Yeah.
Man, December 8th is going to be a busy day.
Yeah, Hey, there's a little game called Cyberpunk, I think, that's coming out right around then too. Right around then.
And a patch for our favorite punching bag.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Before we leave the Final Fantasy specific topics, I don't think it'd be appropriate, gentlemen, for us to go any longer. This is episode 6. And I think it would not be appropriate for us to go any longer as Final Fantasy fanboys with an I to not have the age-old debate of which Final Fantasy is your favorite. And if your favorite is not what you think the best one overall is, then you have to give us that too. If you think 7 is the best, but 6 is your personal favorite, then you got to give me both of those. But if they happen to be, 7 is my favorite and I think it's the best, then you get the easy path. You just have to give me one. I don't think we would have cred anymore on this show if we did not have this chat. So Kronos, I'll let you.
This is going to be the last episode.
I'll let you go.
This is going to be the last episode of the podcast. It's over after this.
All right,
Kronos, I'll let you go first.
Does it have to be numbered?
Yeah, let's keep it easy and stick to mainline. 1 through 15. Okay. You can't pick 16 because it's not out yet. You cheating bastard. I already know that's where you were going to try to go.
So I can't pick tactics. Really, is where
you
my
can't
mind
pick
is.
tactics. No.
Okay.
No.
Oh, sad.
So
mainline.
My personal favorite is 7. It's not even really close, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it was the first one I was able to play when I was at the age where I kind of understood what was happening. So I have a lot of fond memories. I've played it a ton. That's why I was so excited for the remake. But if I had to be like unbiased and tell you what the best Final Fantasy was, I would say 6. That's it's my opinion.
So then why? Where's the delineation for you on why 6 is probably better than 7, but not your favorite?
This is the age-old debate.
I think so if we're just talking about the original, which is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the remake. I think 6 ages better. Just the sprite artwork in general ages better than 7. I mean, obviously you got 7 with the Popeye arms and stuff, so it doesn't really look the best, but I can ignore that because I played it back in 1997, so I'm fine with it.
I almost cried when I saw the artwork of Polygon Cloud holding hands with new remake Cloud, and all the bubble, the speech bubble that says, "You don't make the same mistake I did. Save her." I was like,
yeah,
oh
my god,
yeah.
Like I'm not an emotional guy. I don't really cry at much. I saw that and I was just like,
that hits the heart.
Yeah, as much as I like Sephiroth, I think Kefka is probably the best villain they've ever put into a game. Like just the things he does. I mean, you kind of lose in the game, honestly. Like, I mean, he wins, right?
He wins.
I mean, you might beat him at the end, but he wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I mean, there's not much wrong with 6. Honestly, you could like poke some holes in 7. As much as I love the game, but there's not much wrong with 6. So,
Tarkov?
Let's see. The one that's most near and dear to my heart is 4 because it was my first Final Fantasy that I ever played. Cecil, Rosa, Kain. I love Kain. He's such a tortured soul. But Golbez, oh my god, just the first time you encounter Golbez and he's this big, large soldier magic. Spoony Bard, such good memories. But the best though's got to be 6. That cast of characters was so well developed. Even the ones that you get later, they all had their moments. The fact that you lose was just like something like I don't think anybody had done before. It was amazing that the world ended. You lost. Sorry. Little things like you could not get Shadow back if you didn't time the flying island correctly. That was like little Easter egg.
Whoa! Spoilers.
Sorry, spoilers.
Actually, I kind of do have to say that because my middle son, who streams on this channel on Saturdays, and his whole theme is games older than me. He is playing for the first time ever Final Fantasy VI right now.
Torture.
Yeah,
earmuffs.
It's the first time ever playing through that one.
But yeah, Kefka, he's just playing crazy and evil for evil's sake. And while you lose, it was a good feeling to finally get him. And I think my favorite characters to play were Umaro and Mog. And it's just the best. But 4 is the most near and dear to my heart, but 6 is the best. 7 is what made Final Fantasy mainstream. That's where it gets its cred.
I'm going to go with my favorite being 11. As much as, 14 is obviously aces, in my opinion, right? Obviously, I generated a show. This is the second show I've generated on that game. I love that game. But 11 just has a lot of heart for me, a lot of nostalgia for me. I've spent so much time in there. I met a ton of great people, some of which I still happen to talk to. I just absolutely love it. I love when, I don't think in all fairness, I don't think I could go back and play it now if it were still the same as it was back then. It's changed a lot, which still allows me to dabble in it and enjoy it. But if it were the way it was years ago, I don't think I would like it as much now. Just that's because my life as far as gaming and MMO time and investment has changed as I've gotten older. So, but that is my personal favorite Final Fantasy. Mostly, I will admit, though, for nostalgia's sake, more than there's some great stories in there. I'm not shortchanging that at all. They have some fantastic stories in there, some really dark ones too. But yeah, the more nostalgia probably than anything. I would go with best being 6, but both of you did. So we'll say 6 is not what I think is the best, but it is what I think is the best. But I'll pick a different one just to be different from the two of you. I'm going to go with 9.
Oh, that's in my top 5.
Only, because I couldn't pick 6 because the two of you jokers did.
Yes, you can.
No. Well, I did. I picked 6.
If you had let me pick tactics, I would have said that.
Tactics.
So I'll go with 9. And a lot of the art style, music, but most of all, I think like a return to form. Although it wasn't as return to form as I think a lot of people might have wanted it to be, I think it was a return to form in an era that was in the middle of some changes as far as the way these types of games played and appealed to a broader audience. I think they straddled a line there, and for all intents and purposes, they did it rather successfully. Might have pissed off some hardcore FF4, FF6 fans that's what a return to form would have been. But I think it straddled the line nicely. So I'll give it to 9, even though 6 is probably what I genuinely believe to be the best of the series. Which had the best battle system. Oh, Prism, that's a can of worms right there. We'll bring that to another show.
That's just my opinion.
What'd you say?
Oh.
I think it's 7.
You think it's 7?
I think
it's hard to argue with it, yeah.
It is, but I think the materia system is the most fun.
I think 10 is probably right behind it.
10 was good
with
too.
sphere grid battle, and battle system there. I think that's probably pretty close too. Anyway, we'll bring that for another one. It's not like we don't have plenty of time to talk about Final Fantasy. Let's slide over and do some other Square Enix news here. So let's. We're not going to kick the dog today, actually. Yeah, actually, I think today was probably one of the better days for fans of the Avengers lately. I honestly believe that's the case for fans here. Let me
all 5 of them.
Oh my God, you're so mean. You're so mean.
All 655 that played today and yesterday.
You guys are absolutely awful. Absolutely.
I feel like we need like some new, like an image or something for our Avengers section every week. I don't know, something like beating a dead horse. I don't know what it is, but
I'm wondering if Streamlabs is going to crash because all of a sudden I lost Tarkot's camera.
No.
Yeah, very weird. It did this during Snowbound, but it did it at the beginning of the show. Anyway, Kate Bishop.
Do we get to start all over?
Yeah, right. Coming December 8th. Trailer actually looks pretty good, I gotta say. Some nice moves. The whole disappearing, teleporting thing seemed a very Final Fantasy 15-ish to me. Adds the new part of the Clint's Hawkeye version of the story. Hawkeye actually coming in early 2021, so that seems to be a little later than most people probably anticipated. Most people on the YouTube videos seem generally happy with it, Kronos.
I'm glad for them, I guess. I mean, it looks fine. It looks fine. I just don't see myself playing this game. And then also your first 2 DLC characters, they're kind of the same character to me, comic book wise. I mean, there's not much difference between Kate Bishop and Hawkeye.
Here you go, Tarkov. Hey, I got your camera back. Yeah. Here's the part that I don't like. Generally, I would have expected the feedback on YouTube to be pretty good because that was people who are interested enough still in the game to have gone and watched that trailer, right? So generally speaking, the preponderance of viewers there are probably people that are on your side and want this to improve. And if you read the comments, a lot of people there genuinely believe this is going to be like more a long-term, it's going to get better thing like we've seen with some other games. And maybe they'll be right. I hope for their sakes that they are right and they find a game that they like. Here's the part I didn't like about this. There's going to be a new boss, Tarkov. You ready for what it is? I don't think you are. Hold on. Wait for it. Wait for it. We've got a new supervillain. Wait,
can I guess? Is it a robot?
It's a robot. It's a fucking robot. It's Super Adaptoid. Another damn robot. But wait, this one has weapons and abilities that can mimic the powers of the Avengers. Could we please get some real bad guys in the damn game?
It's Taskmaster robot. Got it. Okay, cool.
So are the only like actual villains in that game MODOK and Taskmaster?
Yeah.
Is that really it?
Yeah.
An Adaptoid.
Yeah. Well, this is Super Adaptoid. Super Adaptoid.
Oh no, Abomination's in there, right?
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah. But I mean, those are
So-
recurring. Just go. Actually, you're fighting their clones now, right? Because that's the whole story, is that they just keep cloning these damn things. Anyway, so if you're looking for more Avengers content, December 8th, it's free, by the way. So if you already have the game, you'll get this. So I guess that's kind of why they don't really have a concern with Cyberpunk coming out that same week, right? I mean, it's just they're not trying to make any money off DLC here or anything. They're just trying to milk you on the cosmetic side of things. So yeah, I mean, I gotta say though, overall, I did think Kate Bishop looked pretty badass. And I'm not generally a comic book guy. You know this, Kronos, but I like the ability set, the whole like time warping stuff. Obviously, I like when there's new story added. So maybe this could be the beginning of something better for Marvel's Avengers fans. Maybe.
I mean, she looks cool. I wouldn't get your hopes up though.
It's not going to be enough to get me back into it, but they've got to find ways to get people like you back into it. You're their audience.
Yeah, it should be easy, honestly. I mean, you got a game like Spider-Man, which is amazing.
Yeah.
You don't need to try very hard. You really don't. I don't know. I think they tried to do too much, and I get they were trying to like appeal to like the looter shooter people, and I think that's what got you into it, right? That's what got you to buy it.
Absolutely.
And
I've been playing Godfall on the
that.
PS5. It's a single player basically looter shooter, but
yeah, I'm fine with that. If I don't know, just if it feels like it was done right, and it just felt like it wasn't, and even when I tried the beta, I was not impressed with what I was playing. And usually, it's really easy to sell me on those games. Really easy.
What else do we got? Tarkoth, The World Ends With You. Is this a franchise you're into at all?
I own it. I have never booted it up. Yeah,
It's a good game.
don't know about it.
Right now, Square is teasing a website, and it's got a countdown on it. And I mean, it's obviously something related to The World Ends With You. I will link it here because I cannot pull it up without having to mute the music real quick, and then Twitch will throw me out. But yeah, so we don't know what the announcement is. The last time they kind of did this whole teaser campaign, it ended up being the anime. It wasn't game related. But could this now potentially be like a sequel? Could we get something else here? Nintendo Life is the one that's reporting it, so maybe there's some hope on. Will it be Switch? Will it be handheld? We don't know, but yeah. If you're into The World Ends With You, definitely check it out. You got a little over 3 days before that countdown.
I bet it's a Switch port.
You think so?
I bet it's a Switch port.
You don't think it's a straight sequel or anything?
I hope it's a sequel. I really do, because I like the first game a lot. But I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like it's a Switch port. Because I mean, what do you have to play the original game on? Like DS?
Yeah, it's DS. Yeah. I mean, I would like that. But I wouldn't like it as much as a sequel. I'd like to see a sequel on the Switch rather than a remake.
I agree.
Or a port onto the Switch.
I'm a pessimist, so I just
really are today. Like, what happened? You get in a fist fight with somebody today? I'd like the prices to change, but they're fucking not going to. I'd love a sequel, but it's going to be a shit ass Switch port.
Look, man, I'm too busy losing in the card game to like one turn kills, dude. It's not putting me in a good mood.
I am just coming back, and this is what you do to me.
You make me want to leave again.
Okay, since we don't, that's kind of like weird and out there. Watch the countdown for the next 3 days. Here's another weird or out there thing. What's even weirder about this, by the way, is that I can't access the video for this anymore. And I don't know why. I don't know if it was taken down by or whatever. But I'm going to have to read this to you because I'm not exactly sure what the hell this is. And maybe you guys can clear it up for me. Tokyo Mystery Circus, and credit to GameSpace.com writer Susie Ford. Tokyo Mystery Circus has revealed that it is working on a, quote, real stealth game. Based on Final Fantasy VII Remake, players will be challenged by a 30-minute time limit and will need to complete their infiltration tasks without being shot by Shinra soldiers. Say that 5 times real fast. shot by Shinra.
Shinra.
They'll also need to work through traps and other challenges along the way. The goal is to reach and destroy the Mako Reactor 1. To show what players can expect when taking part, devs sent out a video with scant but interesting details revealed, a video of which I can no longer access for some reason. At this moment, the game's only available in Japanese, but devs have confirmed that it will be coming in English and Chinese at a later point. The first mission will be available starting December 9th, with hourly events running each day from 12 p.m. on weekdays and 10 a.m. on weekends and holidays. Events will end by 8 p.m. on all days. I have read that 5 times at least. And when I was able to access the video, watched the video, which is predominantly live action, multiple times. And I still don't get what the fuck they're doing here, Tarkoth. Do you?
I didn't watch the video, but the only thing I can imagine it's take an escape room, but make it a whole stealth, Metal Gear Solid kind of live action. You're in Snake's shoes.
That was my initial thought, but
And
then I
then-
was like,
and then
would you launch
are
an
they
escape
adding-
room right now?
No.
Right?
No.
I mean, that's kind of where I was going, but then I was like, who opens an escape? And then I was like, oh, yeah, but it's also in Japan. They're not the fucking United States right now when it comes to all this COVID stuff. So maybe, but I don't know. I think you're right. That was the impression I got, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So then, I'm not sure if they're going to do like some sort of laser tag / paintball thing to, you get tagged so many times, you lose hit points. And I don't know. It sounds intriguing. I'd love to play it because I love escape rooms and it seems like right up my alley.
Kronos, I think they should make it a little more realistic, though. Like, I think you need to sign waivers, and if you fail, you get crushed by a fucking plate. Like,
I thought.
Oh, wow.
You're done. You're done. You're done.
That's a little bit further on. That's the third or fourth,
Sign the
stealth
waiver.
room.
Sign it.
I thought it was escape room at first too. That's what I thought it was when I first clicked on it, and I was able to see the video before they took it down. I don't know what the heck it is. It almost feels like something like a VR type thing for maybe like your phone. I don't know. I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't even make sense to you. Like, I don't know, because they say it's a game, right?
Yeah.
Like it's something that you're gonna purchase. I don't think you can just purchase an escape room and drop it in your house. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. There was so many is this like an online trivia show? Is this an escape room? Is this an app? Like, I really wish I could read Japanese. I have Rosetta Stone. I just have not started it at all. It's been sitting there for 4 years. I don't think I'm ever going to start it. I really want to, but I don't think I'm going to. So I don't know. But Final Fantasy VII Remake real-world stealth game incoming. Whatever the hell those terms mean when you combine them into one sentence. On the 7 Remake topic, though, the Game Awards 2020 nominations came out, and I do think we need to mention that the 7 Remake picked up six nominations for a game that came out 20 years ago being remade. Game of the Year, Best Direction, Best Narrative, Best Art Direction, Best Score, and Best Role-Playing Game, all for Final Fantasy VII. Now, these were also notably the only nods to Square Enix properties themselves. But, I'm kind of like, it's one of those weird spots where I'm kind of surprised, but not surprised. Like, I'm kind of surprised it picked up 6 high marquee category nominations, but then not surprised because it was just really damn good. But
yeah,
you think of like other titles that came out this year, and particularly in like the role-playing category, it's not going to be the easiest competition, but I probably wouldn't be surprised, Kronos, if they swept and they took these 6. Game of the Year, I think, might be the most challenging for them there out of the 6.
I agree.
But I don't think a sweep of those 6 is impossible by any stretch.
No, it's definitely possible. I think. I mean, they did a really good job. I mean, even the people that have like their small complaints, I don't think their complaints are in these areas that it's nominated for at all. And I mean, even the people that complain are still like, but it's a 9 out of 10 game. Like, I mean, so I think they have a really good chance to sweep, but I do agree. I think Game of the Year is going to be the hardest one for them to pick up. I wouldn't be surprised if they picked up all of them, but the Game of the Year as well. I think that's also very possible.
I agree. Tark?
I see them getting 5 out of 6. I think Game of the Year will be the challenge. I think its stiffest competition maybe is Ghost of Tsushima on there, because I think that
For
that
what,
was-
Game of the Year?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's taking it. Ghost of Tsushima was just an epic on such a grand scale, and it was wholly original IP, so it has that going for it too. So
Yeah, the Game of the Year nominees, you had Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, and one more. Last of Us Part 2.
Hades is on there. That's pretty cool. I like
Ori,
it.
Yeah.
Ori didn't
Yeah.
make it. I thought Ori would definitely make it.
Yeah, so those are your nominees for Game of the Year. What is this? Who put this in here? Tark put this in here. Kingdom Hearts had a little interview with Gamatsu.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you got look at you putting show notes together.
Yeah.
Some interesting quotes from
Like
this
I've done
interview.
this
Well, then I'm gonna
once or
let you here. I'll turn over hosting duties to you. You do it. Let's do this. Kingdom Hearts. Let's talk about it.
Hey, yeah. I guess their 20th anniversary is coming up in 2022, and Nomura, he of Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII Remake, was talking about that with Gamatsu. Looks like he is interested in continuing Kingdom Hearts in some form or fashion. He goes on to say, I'll read this quote here. I intend to tie up remaining loose story ends, but also want to change the format a bit. I want to drastically change the world and tell a new story, but also tie up the loose ends. Kronos, what do you make of that?
You're gonna hate. I mean, y'all are gonna hate me. I've already been so negative.
Do it. That's why I put you first.
I think Kingdom Hearts needs to just
Like, I wouldn't be
stop.
surprised to cut to your camera and see you just burning your bed and shit at some point today.
It's on fire. It's like,
And you're not even
You know,
reacting to it. It just burns.
so I was a big
Mark
Kingdom
me.
Hearts fan for a long time.
Mhm.
And then after about the 8th sequel that they made on the handhelds before they made Kingdom Hearts 3, I was kind of already burnt out. And then I was like, oh, Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out. That's going to be great. And then I was really disappointed by that, even though I played through the whole thing. It's not a terrible game, but it's just like, it's not what you wanted to wait 10 years for. It's kind of what it is. I'm kind of just ready for this series to kind of be done. Not going to lie. I there are things I like about it, and there are things I think they could continue to do that are great. But they just keep going down these rabbit holes, and none of it makes sense. I don't really know what story BT's even talking about closing, because he just keeps reopening stuff every time. Like, I don't know. I don't even really know if I could like have a cohesive thought about what Nomura does with Kingdom Hearts without.
Which is
having
what some
anger.
people fear about Final Fantasy VII, him leading that is they don't want all these plot holes and threads just dangling around from beginning to end.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fear. It's a fear that I have of the game, because I really like the original. I would have paid for 10, parts of just remade Final Fantasy VII and been fine with it. And then, I would have probably complained a little bit, but I still would have bought every single one. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and especially like all the handheld games they came out with that were just, to be honest, pretty subpar for the most part. I mean, some of them are okay. But like, you go back, you play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and they're masterpieces. They're really, really good. And then, yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of ready for it to be done. Like the rhythm game they have out now is fine. I'm fine with stuff like that. I think that's cool. But I'm not. I don't know if I'd even buy Kingdom Hearts 4 at this point. Like, if he made it, I don't know.
Mike, you a Kingdom Hearts fan?
I love the Kingdom Hearts franchise. My bed is not on fire. I will admit, though, the Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of lost me at that point. I was about halfway through the game. I felt like I was done with it. A lot of that, I think, might have had to do with there was so little Final Fantasy left in it anymore. And that's not to say, like, it had to have Final Fantasy in it for it to grab me, but that was very cool, seeing Disney characters and Final Fantasy characters interacting and going and seeing, these Final Fantasy worlds and everything. I love that stuff, and to not have that in the box for Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of hurt. But when I read this quote, being a fan and not a super fan, by the way, like I could not sit here and tell you the story of Kingdom Hearts. I don't fucking know. I don't understand it.
You need encyclopedia.
Yeah, there is I can give you the
Omnibus.
main story beats, but when you start getting into all the different shadows, okay, fine, great, sure, make a YouTube video, I'll come watch it. When I see I intend to tie up remaining loose story ends, I feel like that's what Kingdom Hearts 3 was supposed to be. And there were so many loose ends that none of them, at least to me, none of them really got tied up to any great degree of satisfaction when I was done playing it. And then there were so many, like, when you tell me you're going to wrap up loose ends, I'm probably guessing we're getting 4 more Kingdom Hearts games. That's how many loose ends there are in the storyline. It just started to not make sense to me. I still love the franchise. I, on the other hand, would buy a Kingdom Hearts 4. I would hope to see more Final Fantasy and stuff in it. But yeah, I'm all for it. It's getting bizarre. It's gotten bizarre. It's been bizarre for a while, but he doesn't actually talk about making a game necessarily here. So I could see this, like, he just says, I intend to tie up remaining loose story ends. So whether that be like a novel or a manga or any of the other myriad of media that they could go into here, I could definitely see something like that before we probably saw a Kingdom Hearts 4 or something like that at this point.
Yeah, and if we saw it, he did. The next quote was, "If we make a Kingdom Hearts game for next gen consoles, it's going to be released after many other companies have already made their titles. So, it's not coming anytime soon. So please wait for it." Hi. I do like the part where he says drastically change the world, and then maybe that's a hint that he wants to make it more Square Enix focused for any next installment that he might be planning, and maybe get away from Disney, because when you have the Disney characters, you have to have Disney's input in it. So maybe World of Square Enix.
I think he's been trying to push away from the Final Fantasy characters and the Disney characters, honestly. I think he wanted to do like his own thing with just like Sora and Riku, and then like, or the organization stuff, and just go down that rabbit hole. So I mean, I think that's possible. That's what he does.
2022 is the 20th anniversary. Yep. I didn't realize in 2 years it'll have been 20 years since I played the original.
Yeah, we had 7 Final Fantasies in that time. We had 3 Kingdom Hearts.
Well, you had 40 Kingdom Hearts. They just were
3 numbered.
Just for 90 different. Well, they're all technically numbered, I guess.
All right, you got me again. That's very fair. They do have a lot of numbers in them.
Yeah, then you're not doing Final Fantasy justice because they got all the side stuff.
Also true, yeah.
Yeah, they're all technically numbered. They're just none of them greater than 3.
Kingdom Hearts actually really likes their numbers, dude. You got like 254 over 5. They got halves in there. I don't know, man.
Fractions, decimal points.
He did say we're working to deliver good news, so I hope you'll keep an eye on us until then. Oh, way to tease a maybe announcement 2 freaking years from now. If that isn't like quintessentially Square Enix, I don't know what is. All right. Guys, it's been a pleasure, but we need to wrap this up. So let's head over to everybody's favorite segment, Love It or Leave It. Every week, the 3 of us pick a topic, and we discuss whether we love it, want more of it, or leave it. We're kind of done with it. Throw it aside. And so remember, this could be specific to a game. It could be a specific game. It could be a feature in a game. It could be a business decision Square Enix makes. But today, having a feeling where our chat was going to go when we were talking about our favorite Final Fantasy game earlier, and indeed, chat did take it here, I wanted to pick one aspect of combat in Final Fantasy series and get your take now, 2020, current year argument, as somebody that is older now than when they played, Final Fantasy IV back in the day. turn-based RPG gameplay in general, not specific to any Final Fantasy in particular or any role-playing series in particular, but just turn-based RPG gameplay. Do you still love it, or do you leave it? And Kronos, you're in a terrible mood. We'll start with you.
So I'm positive about this one. It's okay. Yeah, I love me some turn-based, honestly. Whether it's like tactical turn-based or like true like old school like Final Fantasy turn-based. I think Persona 5 proves that like we can still have a modern turn-based RPG and it's still amazing. I mean, that game hooked me, and I didn't even really play any other Persona series before that. And I could take that all day. Just keep giving me those. So I'm all about that. Yeah, Octopath has been pointed out in the chat. I think Octopath is good in its own right. I mean, the music in that is great, and the combat in that is very Persona-like, honestly. So yeah, I mean, I'm 100% in the love it category here. Like, not even close.
All right, the fire bed is put out. I'll go next. I also got to give it love it, and I think there was no surprise coming from me. I've kind of alluded to this and talked about it on previous episodes. In fact, mentioning Persona, just because I don't feel like Final Fantasy is likely to have it, maybe not ever again in a mainline Final Fantasy. They're kind of, that series always evolves with the times. I do think not only as a whole, but also within Square Enix, things like Octopath Traveler, Dragon Quest carrying that turn-based, torch into the future, and I'm all for it. I love it, love it, love it. Tarkov.
3 for 3. I love it. I mean, I'm playing Dragon Quest XI right now. I'm loving all my time with it, which you can find here at Ready Check Radio on Saturdays and Sunday evenings.
Plug.
plug. So yeah, turn-based has its place. Dragon Quest is an amazing, beautiful game. Persona 5, I mean, you can dump literal days into that game. I hear it's a 100+ hour game. Planning on getting into that at some point. Octopath Traveler is amazing. I feel that they should redo Final Fantasy VI in Octopath Traveler's engine. I think that would be amazing, and I would play the hell out of it. But yeah, it definitely has its place in 2020, and let's get some more good stuff. Bravely Default. 2 coming out.
Good call.
I feel that's going to be probably legit right there too.
Well, that's our take on it, but do you love it or do you leave it turn-based combat? Whether you're on YouTube or you're over on ReadyCheckRadio.com, put your thoughts in the comments below on whether you love it or you leave it for turn-based RPG combat, and maybe it'll appear on a future show. Now, speaking of streams, we have plenty of streamers that do a lot of streaming across this channel every single day of the week at anytime. So make sure you're following twitch.tv/ReadyCheckRadio, RAIDEO, so that we can always keep you notified of any streamers going live, whether it's an MMORPG, a single-player game, consoles, PCs, whatever, you name it. Our gamers play it all. And we've got a stream coming up right after the show for you today. This one's going to be done. Woo. Yeah. This one's going to be done by Faye Death. Faye Death was gracious last week and gave me her Thursday slot when we did the PlayStation 5 reveal. So thank you so much for that. Kudos and applause to her for that. And then streamed Friday. But back at our normal time slot right after the show. Faye, are you there?
Why, hello, Ready Check Radio.
So
how are we tonight? Nice show, guys.
Yeah, thank you. What are you streaming today?
Oh, this evening we are going to bring you some high energy pew pew in Rogue Company, because it has been quite a long time since I've gotten into it. Something that I've wanted to work on, and what better time and what better people to do that than with you guys? So we got our monster, and because I'm slow today, so we'll see how it goes.
Getting a little practice in the pew pews. So make sure you're sticking around. Thank you, Faye. We'll turn it over to you in just a moment here, but make sure you're sticking around in chat to check out Faye and team in Rogue Company. You can hang out and watch all the pew pews. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Relic Grind. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that you'll follow us and hang out live on a future show. Until that said future show, Kronos, where can everybody follow you?
Yeah, same as always. So Twitter's below if you want to listen to me rant. Maybe my bed will stop catching on fire. Complain about some stuff. I've been streaming a lot of Street Fighter V, and I've been back into the card game now. So if you want to learn how to play the Final Fantasy card game, you can tune into my stream, which is twitch.tv/RVA Chronos, and I'll teach you how to play the game. It's a lot of fun.
Tarkov.
Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at Tarkov Gaming. I am streaming a little bit of Genshin Impact. They got an event going on right now. Also doing Final Fantasy XIV, where apparently I do not have the big D DPS as a scholar. Shocker, I'm a healer. And then Saturday and Sunday nights, you can find me right here on Ready Check Radio.
In this Discord today. There's just so much salt.
Where I'm currently streaming Dragon Quest XI, so come and join me on all the places.
I'm Mike Bird. You can follow me personally there at Magic Man, but more importantly, follow at RC Radio so we can tweet everything at you. Happy Thanksgiving. Remember, no shows next week, but we'll see you Saturday for Gaming Gumbo. Until next week, gang, I want you all to stay safe. We'll see you on the servers, and don't be so salty.